Hello, you lovely people. I hope you're all doing well. Today I have a bit of a challenge for you. We are going to paint this. I will show you how to paint the first part of the painting and then you will have to finish it without me helping you. I will, however, show you glimpses of my progress. Last in the video, I'm showing you some different ways of doing this painting style that we are working with today. So jump to that first if you want to get inspired. But enough of me talking, let's get started. I'm Miriam, an artist residing in beautiful Denmark. I do paintings in watercolor, gouache, acrylics, well, pretty much any medium I can lay my hands on. I'm here to help you learn how to make beautiful paintings and learn different skills in mainly watercolor but also mixed media. Come, join me and let's paint some beautiful paintings together. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay, so to begin with, I have taped down my paper to a board, and this is 300 gram watercolor paper. And the colors I'm going to use are, so these are the colors. And here you see the sketch outline. And I have transferred my sketch to my watercolor paper. I use a light board to do this. I don't know how you do it. Perhaps you just do it by freehand, but I can see that the pencil line are a little bit strong. So I want to tone the pencil lines down. So I take this net gum rubber and then I just go in and dab off some of the pencil drawing, because I don't want the pencil lines to show too much through in this painting. Okay, so now that I have removed a lot of the pencil lines, I will begin the painting with wetting the whole paper with just clean water, because we want to paint a loose painting, or we want to loosen up in our painting. So we want the colors to be allowed to flow together, and we will drop paint in on the wet paper and just allow it to flow its own ways, and then afterwards we can go in and enhance in some places and make some definition and detail afterwards. But the first thing we do is to wet the paper and drop in colors. I will begin with the Quinacridone Gold. I just pick it up straight from the pan. This is a color from Core, and it really likes to just explode on the paper. So you have to remember that when you are using these colors, but I don't mind it in this painting because we do want colors to flow. And the next color I'm going to use will be the Rose of Ultramarine. And I will also just go in with that in different places, just randomly. Of course I will be mindful of where the colors are on the flowers, but yeah. And you know, it could have been so fun if this color has done the same as the Core color, just exploded on the paper, but this is a different kind of color, so I have to use my brush to put it where I want it. Down here I'm going to drop in some of the sap green. Just put that in as well. could also drop in some of the Undersea green, just here and there. And just, you know, splatter a little bit. And I will also go in with the ultramarine blue. I just dab it in randomly as well. And the colors are mixing together on the paper. That's quite nice, I think. And that was the first layer, and I will allow this to dry completely, and then we will come back and begin to make some more definition. And now it's time to go in and make some definition. I will begin over here on this area. And I will do some negative painting in some places, but not the whole painting. I would like some of the stems down here to be lighter than the background, so I will just paint dark around those. And I will begin to darken it up with some Undersea green. And here it's nice to have the pencil lines so that you got something to guide you when you paint like this. So where I see some dark areas on the reference photo, I go in with the Undersea green. Just have to think about we need some dark areas, and we need some very light areas, and some medium tone areas. This will give the painting more interest if you have that. So I will say that for now I will not work more on the green down here at the bottom of the painting. Over here I need some of the purple color because there's actually a flower lying down here. So I'll just go in and glaze that with the rose of ultramarine, and I will make not a very strong mix, watery mix of the rose of ultramarine. I think I will turn the board around, it will be easier so I don't put my hands on the wet areas here. And now I will show you how to paint the first flower. And you will use what I'm showing you here on the first flower later on when you're going to paint the rest of the flowers. And here I begin with the leaf to the right in the painting, and I go in with the rose of ultramarine And I cover the whole like bended part of the painting with rows of ultramarine. Then I continue with the next bended petal on the flower, and I put in color all over the leaf. And then I go in with a clean damp brush and take off some of the paint again in the lower part of the petal and in the upper part of the petal as well. Then I go to another bended part, or the outline for the bended part, and I put in color on the top, and then I drag it down with water so it gets lighter and lighter towards the middle of the flower. In this way we create variation in the flower. So I put in some paint, and then in some places I take it off again if it gets too strong. Now I go on the next leaf down here, and I put in color along the line that goes to the middle of the flower, and then I drag the paint out with a damp brush. And I go from petal to petal on the flower because I want the paint to dry up in between layers, because I want some hard edges where the petals are separating. But here in the first layer I just put in quite a light layer of the rose of ultramarine. Last in the video I will show you some different options on how you can use this method for painting. Because if you use a lot of different colors, you will do it in a slightly different way than I'm doing now, because I'm putting the rose of ultramarine on the flowers and later on a bit of the ultramarine blue as well. But if you have many colors in your painting, you have to go in and make the shadow areas with the different colors you see or you have put in the beginning. So that's a slightly different way to do it, but you can get some very pretty results with that as well. It won't be too realistic or nature-like, but it will make a very interesting painting in my opinion. I chose to do this in this way, so it will look a little bit realistic, but it's completely up to you how you want to do it. It's all about shadows and light areas. Now I'm going to work on this area, and there's a bit of shadow in here because the petal is bended. So I go in again with a light wash of the rose of ultramarine, and then I will be dabbing in some of the very watery mix of the ultramarine blue. That will make the leaf or the petal a bit darker. And then I continue over here on the leaf to the right and put in some colors on top of the green color that was there from the beginning. And now it's time to work on the middle of the flower, and I use my sketch lines to help me where I'm going to put in a strong mix of the Quinacridone gold. I make sure to leave some light areas through, because this will give a very nice effect in the painting and make it look more realistic. And you will do the same if it's different colors you are working with. To make a shadow area in the middle of the flower, I go in with a very watery mix of the ultramarine blue. Since it's very watery, the yellow part will shine through, and it will give a quite nice effect. And now I'm going to put in some darker colors, and I go along the edge of where the petal is bended, and I put in some more colors, and then I go in with a damp brush and soften the edges so it looks very natural. It goes from dark to light, and here where the petal is bended as well, I will go in underneath that bendedness and I will put in some colors here because there will be a shadow area. And I will make sure that there is also some lighter areas on the petal, because that's how it is in nature. There's dark areas and light areas, but there's always a shadow where things are bended, at least in this painting. And also towards the middle of the flower there will be some shadow areas, so I'll go in with some darker colors here. And I also use the Ultramarine blue to make some shadows on the leaf, on the petal. I continue to say leaf, but it is a petal. Yeah. And now I go in with an even darker color here, and then I blend it out with clean water so that you can see that this is between two petals of the flower. And I'm putting in some more shadows with the watery mix of the Ultramarine blue. Now I want to darken this area up some more. And you know, painting like this is going back and forwards to see when everything looks nice or more natural. I also go in with a damp brush in some places and lift off some paint to make some highlights. And now I put in an even darker mix on the outer outline of this leaf, and I go in again with a wet brush and drag the colors towards the middle. Continue with this lower part of the petal, and again I go in and darken it a bit. I've also put in some fine lines where I used a number 2 lines, a number 2 brush, as you can see in the painting. And it's just some very thin lines made with the rose of ultramarine. And it's not too strong in color. And now it's time for you to take up the challenge and continue with the rest of the painting. And you'll just have to do the same as we did with the first flower. And I really believe that you can learn a lot by you see what I do in the first part, and then you continue in the second part. And here you see me put in some details on the middle flower. And again, it's with a size 2 brush. And I just go in and make definitions and yeah, this really makes the painting look more put together. And here I just want to lighten this area. I think it got too dark, and I really want to make sure that I both have light areas and dark areas. It's so important for the painting. And I think this is where most beginners make their mistakes in the beginning. There are not too many light areas or dark areas. It's all the same hue of color all over the painting. And sometimes you really have to go darker than you think, but it really do a lot to the painting. And here I put some indigo in my Undersea green, and I want to darken some areas as well down in the green areas, or in where the leaves and the stems are. And I most of the time I go in with a damp brush and soften it out. And now I have some areas where I think the white is showing out too much, so I just go in and rub it with a damp brush a little bit just to soften the whiteness, so we drag a little bit of the color from the flowers to the white areas. And here I go in and also darken up some of the very light areas with a watery mix of the sap green. I both want light areas, dark areas and medium areas. Yeah, and now I splatter in some Quinacridone gold in the middle of the flowers, just to make interest. And just go and enhance in some places. It's a very good idea to take a picture of your painting once in a while and look at it and then see where you think it needs some more color, or where you want to take off some color perhaps. And I just go in here and make a little bit of definition with my fine brush, number 2, just to make some structure in the leaves and stems. And this needed a little bit of darkening again, so then I take my hairdryer and take off the masking tape. It's a very good tip for you because it really helps the masking tape to not tear the paper. So yeah, and here you have the finished result of my painting. I hope your painting is just as beautiful and that you really learned a lot from this. Okay, so let me just show you some paintings I have made using this style, where you first wet the paper and then drop it in paint. I've done that with this painting. It's a rose, and you can see the different areas of the painting where the first color was dropped in. And I've just gone in afterwards on the second layer and just find some edges along the petal flower's edge, so that you can see that there's a petal here. Yeah, so this is one way to do it. I've also left out some areas without any paint in the first layer, and that's an option for you as well. And then there's this painting, and here I've just done most of the painting in negative painting, but I began with dropping in a lot of different colors, and then I have enhanced those colors on the next layers of color I put in. So that's the way to do it as well. And then there's this painting. Here I did the same, I would say, as I did with the one I'm showing you here in the video. I was a bit intentional to where I put in the red color in the first layer where the flowers are, and the green and the blue was allowed to run a little bit wild because I felt like this could be a nice effect, and I think this is really pretty as well. Then there's this one. It's quite an old painting of mine, and I can see that I need some darker areas in some places that would have suited the painting well, but this was just an example to show you how I did it with this one. And then we have this. Again, in the beginning I dropped in a lot of different colors, but not very dark. It was quite watery mixes of colors, and then I went in afterwards and enhanced the colors. And I actually allowed some pencil lines to show through here as well, so that's an option as well. It can look very pretty. I really love this one. But there's this one, and this is also one of my earlier paintings. I was really experimenting with this style, and here I just went in there was some yellow color here, so I just went in and enhanced the shadow areas and left out some white areas where the light would hit flowers, and then it came to look like this. And again, when I look at this, there could have been some dark areas on the flowers as well, but this was how I did it in the beginning. We are all beginners, or have all been beginners, and you learn so much from your mistakes, so don't lose hope. This is another way of doing it. I actually used some masking fluid here to keep some white, because then it was easier just to splatter paint all over the place. And yeah, and after I put in the second and third layers of paint, I also went in with some stencils and lifted up some paint in different areas, and that can give a very nice effect as well. So hopefully you got inspired, and I really hope that you can use this tutorial to make something great. Bye for now, and I hope to see you again in another video.